huge. Communal dining will be huge. And these are the kinds of ideas that villages are tackling. How do we do that? How do we manage volunteers? The volunteers are all vetted. They all go through a criminal background and they're vetted so that you can know. Pardon me?
Who's paying for that?
Well, we have to pay. Villages has to support itself, so it has to raise money and have the membership be able to pay for that. Anybody else have a question? Yes.
I'm Peter with Battleground Healthcare. We're a free clinic in the Battleground area. It was interesting when you were talking about exercise and walking, the impact. I had an uncle that was an orthopedic surgeon, and he had an 80-year-old in which he was changing the hip, doing a hip replacement. His saw was burning as he was cutting through the femur of the individual. So he asked him what he did for exercise. He walked every day up a hill, about a mile. It was a 2-mile round trip. So it pays to do that walking because of the impact. Another thing that is really interesting is how can we get this idea of nutrition to the lower economic individual, because that's really where it's hurting. And that's where we find a lot of our medical problems, because they don't have the money to go out and keep themselves up, and so they wait till it's catastrophic, and then it's almost too late. And we have North County Food Bank and our food bank have gotten together in the spring because many of these people that come have fallen on hard times and they've been used to going out and somebody else doing the cooking for them or fast foods. They can't afford that anymore. So now they got to learn how to cook from scratch and how they do it in a nutritional way. So we try to do a program in the springtime. Sometimes it's been successful, other times it hasn't. So it's how do we get this word out there? How do we interject in your program, which I think is really wonderful, into this group of people?
Yes, correct. You're absolutely correct. I was over at the College of Natural Medicine, and they have a program that, and they get grants for this. We would, great. They get some federal grants, and they've gone into different communities to do this, to do a 12-week course with people to teach you how to eat healthy and how. It's not just how to eat and what is it. How do you prepare it?
How do you prepare it, right?
It's not just about
so
a
it's
salad.
palatable.
Yeah, it's not just about a salad or eating carrots and celery. It's more than that. There's highly nutritious foods that are more than that. And they don't have to be expensive, too. It's a good point. It's a good point.
I have a couple questions. How, the meeting on March 12th, is that for volunteers or elderly people who are looking for this service? Or?
Well, we do have people who call and are wanting services now. And it's heartbreaking to me that there's such a need for the services now. Some of them have gotten involved. It's open to anybody who wants to come and help plan the villages. So we're looking for the volunteers who kind of want to roll up their sleeves. And yes, it's a lot of meetings. I'm sorry, there's no other way of organizing and starting a group like this without meetings. Yes, it's meetings. But it's open to anybody who wants to come forward and start working on this. And you're not committed to working on it for 3 years. People are going to come and go as we move along. And as we get more people aware of what we're doing too. But it's open to anyone who wants to roll up their sleeves and come in, because it's definitely a working group. We're not going to be sitting around, we're not going to have speakers, it's nothing like that. This month we will start dividing up these tasks and people will go out. We need to know just where are the resources, and we don't have to find all those. There are places to go and there's all the resources. But we need to collect those in our database for Clark County, for villages too. So that's one example of things that we're going to do.
And how close are you to actually this coming to fruition?
3 years.
3 years away.
Basically,
okay.
It takes the history of the villages, the 300 villages that have started, it takes about 3 years to get one up and running.
So you're brand new at working on this
Yep.
then? Okay.
We've just started. Of course, I would like to see that happen a lot faster than that.
Helen,
I'd like to see us meet a couple times a month.
You should
But-
mention the ones that are already established in Portland.
In Portland, yeah.
So
there's 7
they're
villages
up and running
in Portland.
already. There's eight altogether.
8 altogether. There's one that's up and running. And you've got, by the way, all the resources that you need. You can look up Villages Northwest, which will tell you all about the ones in Portland. And some of us will start going over to their meetings and learning more about how they do all the things that they do to administer the villages too.
And
Those are always
There's a quick
open.
question about how much is the membership cost?
So if you're talking $60,000 to go into assisted living, a few $100s maybe, the group will come up with what that is based on the
Okay.
services and the expense. But I'm going to say $600.
annually?
And don't hold me to that, though,
No, I
because the
won't.
group gets
I
to
won't.
say what they
Right,
want to do.
right.
But just to give you an idea of what you're doing. Basically, that's about what it costs for these other villages. And they have different kinds of levels of membership. Actually, some people just join for the social part of it. They say, I don't need that, you know, my son lives with me and I'm fine, I don't need
Yeah.
that. And I'll save a few $100s, I'll save $300, but I'll pay $300 because I want to do all the things that you guys are doing because you're having too much fun and you got rides everywhere.
How about the economics stratus here? Where does this fit within the economics situation? I mean, what's the lowest? I mean, somebody that only makes 20,000 annually and they have very little retirement.
Most of the villages that are operating now have some kind of a ability to take at least a certain number of people that can't afford it. And what the village does is they have to raise money to be able to offset just the
Right,
cost.
right.
Every village has an office and they have one paid staff person. And that's basically what you're trying to support with the membership fees. But, or writing down the cost, giving a reduction in the fees based on income or something. They do different things, but it's certainly open to people of different financial and economic backgrounds. And of course, you know, villages wants everyone involved in this. So they work at trying to underwrite that with grants and to be able to offset those membership costs. So they don't want to turn down anyone that needs the services.
You keep mentioning rides. Who's providing those rides?
The volunteers.
The volunteers. So, are we talking about senior volunteers or?
Different ages, but they all have to go through training to be qualified, and they've got to go through the background and everything and be licensed and safe drivers.
So they're volunteer drivers. So you'll have enough insurance to cover.
They are covered under the insurance with villages.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But
And also the volunteers are covered by an insurance. If you're in someone's home and something happens, the volunteers are covered through a liability insurance that the villages carries also.
if I can interject as well, some villages have joined other community groups, the Rotary, the Boy Scouts. There's a lot of volunteer groups that are around looking for projects to do, so
Right.
you could tap into that resource as well.
So for example, a good example is raking leaves. One thing that there may be volunteers, you know, Jay and I may come and rake the leaves in your house, that's fine. But also what Villages does is work with the organizations, and the Boy Scouts is one of them. They're always looking for projects and things. One of the things the Boy Scouts know, as many of us in our community, is when the leaves come down, they will come around and rake. And you can give them a small donation. You can give them a couple dollars to come and do that. Well, Village will help organize that. So it's these homes in this neighborhood, if they will come and rake the leaves in this neighborhood type of thing. Instead of my 94-year-old mother having to try to figure that out. What Boy Scout group? Where's the number? Who's going to come? You know.
I'd like to talk to the owners of the company I'm here for about assisting with your marketing campaign. Would you be the person to contact?
Please contact me. Absolutely.
My grandmother helped raise me, and I've been through this with her. We fired hospice, who had her on a ridiculous amount of meds that were getting her to have side effects.
Yeah.
And the family took care of her, stayed in her home, and everything we should want to do.
Yes. Please. I'll be happy to chat with you. Anything else? Thank you very much. Appreciate being here.
Thank you very much. That was a wonderful
Thank you.
talk.
Yeah, thanks.
And I'm sure everyone has many other questions, because we're all either facing this situation either indirectly or directly. We have friends, we have neighbors, we have relatives. This is an issue because, you know, my dad was 97 when he passed away, and my mom was in her late 80s, and both of them had dementia for many years. And the reason I'm here today is because Kate and I are assisting Kate's 94-year-old mom to stay in her home, the family home, because our home is in Coos Bay and North Bend. So I've been visiting this area for 8 years, to the point where my Oregon driver's license and my Oregon registration and my Oregon income taxes all list my Washington address. Both are on my Oregon driver's license, my Oregon address, and my Washington address. Because we didn't know it was going to be 8 years. And we don't know how many more years it's going to be. But that's wonderful. It's wonderful because we're able to help her in ways that we wouldn't have been able to. This is our time for announcements. Who has announcements? Yes.
As usual. If you are not on the email mailing list for this group, please see me after, give me a card or something, and I will put you on the list. You'll get an email every Tuesday morning, usually it's in the morning, that will tell you where the next meeting is going to be and who's going to speak and a little bit about what it is. One thing I'd like to point out, we all probably require some kind of assistance with operations in knees and hips and things like that. One of the things that doesn't get mentioned anywhere near enough is that the concept of prehab. Everybody does rehab after the fact, but if you do some exercises ahead of time, you can increase the health of the joint itself, and when the surgeons do their work, the outcome is much better. So think about prehab, see a chiropractor, naturopath, physical therapist for that. And the other one is that Michelle Bart and Good Health Naturally, we have one of their depository, we have one of their
Pink
recycling bins, their pink bins for gently used or new bras, and she can make an announcement about what they're used for. So come and drop something off.
Come free your girls. It's a pink bin. It's our Gift of Lift campaign. Actually, it's an official program now. We've collected over 10,000 bras, new and gently used, and we are just now in Macy's. They've only had the bin 1 week, and it was filled. We're going to put a bin here next week. We're a generosity partner, and all next week is No More Week Against Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence. It's a national campaign. You'll see this all over. And we'll have a pink bin here, and if you drink coffee anytime next week, it will benefit 10% will go back to NW Cave. And we kick off No More Week on Sunday. It's a community event that Erica put together every first Sunday. All of you should try coming at one point. It's at Commonwealth Cafe on Columbia, and it's like a group like this. We all get together, and they're all movers and shakers of the community talking about what they're doing. And so we kick off No More Week there, and then on Monday we have a free screening. If any of you saw Lady Gaga sing our song from The Hunting Ground, we're a national licensee for this film, so we'll be showing a free film screening on Monday evening at the YWCA, and it's about rape on campus and how we can stop it. And the speaker, we just honored the reporter that wrote about her, John Casano from the Oregonian and KGW, Brenda Tracy, who was raped by 4 football players at Oregon State University, will be the speaker Monday evening. And then we have a lot of other events going, including the Gift of Lift. So if any of you have the ability to put a bin in your workplace, please let us know. We have them at spas, hair salons, consignment shops like this. I co-own with my mom Consign in Hazeldale. We have one there. And lastly, there we'll be having our opening of our resource center next Friday. And if any of you have brochures you want to put out in the resource center, I have information in my card, so see me out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Other announcements? Yes.
What I'd like to say is that we have books with cards, and John has already mentioned those, but if you're new to our group and would like to be a presence in that resource, give me your cards, your information, and I will place them where you tell me to. If you can only come very rarely, you can tell me I think I'm a black booker. If you plan to attend semi-regularly, and that's by your definition, then you are a white booker. And it's a good idea to check in there to make sure that the index is accurate as to what you actually do, and that your materials are in the right place, doing the most good for you.
And not only can you do your business card, but if you have an 8.5 by 11 flag,
Right,
you can
for the white book.
a flag. Yes. Yeah.
So I'm going to stand up because
Please.
my matriarch of Toastmasters will make sure I do.
Indeed, she will. She's so mean. Oh.
She's so mean. I don't want to take away from the 12th, the meeting for yours, but for months and months now, we have in the operation and on March 12th as well, is the Women's Festival. Michelle Bart, who I know well now.
Yeah,
I don't
we've been
know
at
her
every
at
meeting
all,
this week
but because
together.
I'm on that committee, I know her well. She's one of the nominees for the Pebble Rebel Award, which is women who, obviously the Pebble and the Rebel, the water, which is what you're here presenting today, these types of things. The women are celebrating women that are the movers and shakers doing this kind of thing and have done this thing, or a mentorship base for those that can then do. And I think it's going to be a really unique day. It's the first one in the Pacific Northwest, started in California, went international this very weekend. Preceding International Women's Day, they're having the Toronto celebration, which the Prime Minister's wife and Katie Couric, we didn't have a budget that big for ours here, but we have amazing women featured and speaking, and it's going to be an amazing day as it's turning out to be. So tell women you love to get online on womensfestivalnorthwest.org.
Thank you.
What are the hours? The hours of
NW.
the, it's 9 to 5, and then there's an afterglow at Cellar 55. If you can't come in the morning, you can still come, after the lunch hour, because we're head counting for lunch, so.
Great.
It's
Steve.
nw.org.
Yes, yeah.
Take one and pass it around, please. Take one and pass it around. The Salvation Army's annual dinner event is May 26th, and we are doing something a little different this year. We're not selling tickets. All you have to do is go online and register, but we are promoting businesses. We have opportunities for sponsorships, and one of those is to sponsor a table, and then we will in turn promote your business by advertising it there at the event. If you're interested in other types of sponsorships, there's other advertisement opportunities available. This year is going to be all about kids, our services and outreach to youth in our community. And we're bringing Jonathan Evans, who is the current chaplain for the Dallas Cowboys. There's a history behind that. The Dallas Cowboys are a big supporter of the national organization and kick off our Red Kettle campaign on Thanksgiving Day every year. So there's an alliance there, and he speaks on behalf of the Army and its services around the country. Looking forward to a great time. Mark your calendar, Thursday, May 26th.
Thank you, Steve. Other announcements, events, interesting tidbits. Joe, thank you very much for attending, and we will see you next week, next Thursday morning, 8 a.m. at the Quarry. Looking forward to seeing you all.
Tuesday.
Thank you.
Oh,